Yeah, you should be able to move it now.
Okay. Let's see here. I'm having some lag issues. I'm having more lag than I would expect here, but
Yeah, that happens.
drag it over here. How's that? Is that kind of out of the way, but still accessible?
Yeah, that should be okay. Um, yeah.
Okay. Hello, hello. So this is my first time using voice to text transcription, and I know it's not going to actually get me saying transcription. But I always add an I to that word.
Okay, I'm not.
Welcome, everyone.
Sorry.
Okay, let me see if you can see. Is my presentation up on the screen yet, or no? I got to select class here. There we are. So, welcome everyone, and thank you for being here today. I am really challenged to actually do this presentation today because I've been on the road traveling for the past month plus without a plan other than sharing the seeds of infinite peace with people coast to coast. And I don't think that that is transcribing, is it? Oh, here, wait a minute. Okay, I think it should be working now. Oh, and here's Electra actually filling in where the machine is not. Thank you, Electra. Okay. Okay. Okay, so I was saying though, I've actually been traveling the country, leaving from Ohio, and actually really starting in New York a month or so ago, literally spreading seeds of from the Infinite Peace Garden that we planted in a park that I work in with kids from Northern Ireland. Oh, and now the transcription's not working again. Darn it! I'm gonna get this working. I'm sorry. Hello, hello, hello. Bear with me a moment. Hello, hello, hello. There, did it. Oh, there it is. Okay. Sorry. All right. I have to remember to press enter too. So, as my first time using this, so bear with me. But so I actually just got a hotel room in Taos, New Mexico, for 2 nights so that I could try to pull off this presentation, because I'm not one to back down from challenge, especially when we're trying to change the world, and that's what I want to use Second Life for. So that's I want this presentation to really kind of be a precursor to my immersive experience, which will be April 1st, an invitation for everyone to join us there. And this microphone keeps shutting off in the transcription for some reason, and that's annoying. Every time I press enter to send it, the microphone shuts off. So it's not working as well as I would like it to. But I would like you all to join me for our immersive experience April 1st, when we will be talking more about how we can utilize Second Life to reimagine real-world spaces. I don't know if anyone heard my question to Philip Rosedale during his keynote, but I will read it to you. I said, "Hi, Philip. Been wanting to talk with you about Second Life community conferences and ideas to attract new users by engaging people in an interactive story, inviting them to use Second Life to reimagine real spaces and programming. For example, a vision we have for Nemesilla Park in Canton, Ohio, with my 2023 Virtual World's Best Practices in Education presentation having been live streamed on the big screen in Centennial Plaza in downtown Canton, which was a first, I believe, for Virtual World's Best Practices in Education and Canton, Ohio, to have a virtual live stream presented on a big screen in the real world. So we want to continue to do things like that and actually, show people how we can utilize Second Life kind of as a vision board on steroids, where things that we want to create in reality, like the vision we have for Nemesilla Park, we can create in virtual space and invite people in to actually interact within it. And instead of just being on paper or actually never even seen by the public, this gives us an opportunity to actually even create videos for people that may never come into the virtual world, but can still see the process of what we're creating in here and how that can then be implemented in reality. So that's really what I'm utilizing Second Life for, not so much as escapism, but in helping us to see real space differently. In fact, I look at real space very much differently because of being in Second Life. I can look at an empty plot now and kind of envision it like I would a space that you would build on in Second Life. So I wasn't able to really put the presentation that I wanted together. Wanted to actually use some photos even from my travels, which I will do in the immersive experience. But I will flip through what I had prepared from before, and we can talk on all these things. Like I say, we did a virtual broadcast in Centennial Plaza, and you can see Centennial Plaza there in Canton, Ohio. There is a big screen in that event space that isn't really widely used as well by the city as I think it should be. So, our use of broadcasting what we're doing in Virtual World's Best Practices in Education was probably the best use I've seen of that screen so far. Usually it just has some slides up there saying what's going to happen or welcome to Centennial Plaza, or they'll point a camera at a band that might be playing on the stage and put that on the screen. But I think that the screen can be used in really powerful ways to educate the public and engage them in the process of changing the world. So I work in a park called Nimisila Park, and it is the oldest park in Canton. Um, it is actually, if you've ever heard the song Love Train by the OJs are from Canton, Ohio. And the park is on OJ's Parkway. um, I asked this question here, what is history? I think it's an important question because I personally believe that history is really only what we're aware of and we choose to recognize. And there are many things that happen, throughout our life, but if we're not aware of them, we can't actually recognize it as our history. In July, and they would do service projects like plant this garden and meet on common ground and make friends and take that piece home. We didn't expect it, but in 2018, an amazing what I call a sunflower tower, the ladder variety, we call it, because it had blooms from bottom to top facing in every direction, as most sunflowers have a bloom that faces the sun. Um, this was our inspiration to actually spread the seeds of infinite peace in every direction. And so we've been doing that for the past, I think we're on the seventh generation of heirloom seeds from the ladder that you see pictured there. And the results, the reactions that I get from people on this trip are so powerful and positive. There's nothing else that I really want to do. So I literally have been traveling coast to coast for the past month, sharing these seeds with people along the way, and even touching a lot of other places indirectly, where I may go to somewhere like the Grand Canyon and be giving them to people and they're like, oh, we're from Oregon or we're from Oklahoma, or meeting someone in San Francisco from Costa Rica. So they're even getting to other states that not able to physically travel to, and countries as well who are very excited. In fact, I've spread the seeds to over 50 countries, people from over 50 countries in one day, on one World Day in Cleveland, Ohio, at the Cleveland Cultural Gardens, which is a great space and a great event. If you're ever in Cleveland and you're able to attend, it's really one of the most positive events that I've experienced in some time. So Cedar Point Amusement Park, if you've ever heard of, in Canton or in Sandusky, Ohio, allowed us to plant some under the corkscrew roller coaster, which you're looking at. And that picture is actually part of their 150th anniversary book now, and spiraling out to the world with every view of a video of that scene. Quite literally spiraling out to the world. The Fibonacci spiral, which is really what a sunflower is. And we also have been, represented that here in Second Life. The box that you see behind me is filled with gifts from the Infinite Peace Garden, that you can click on and acquire, including the T-shirt that I'm wearing and a coffee mug with the picture of the corkscrew sunflower, which you can search on YouTube, corkscrew sunflower, and actually see the video. But it's amazing that when I was putting my Butterfly Effect exhibit together, and putting these pictures in and uploading the video, that I started getting hits from and follows from Indonesia. So it like literally, spread around the world in a day just because of these connections that we're making in Second Life. And here's actually someone at the Indonesian National News Agency with the seeds here. And there's a treasure chest that actually on the Butterfly Effect exhibit that you can find that contains the gifts that are in the box here behind me. And it's interesting. I am really guided by music and starting the love train in Canton quite literally by believing in that song, which says, tell all the folks in Egypt and Israel too. And the first person to find the treasure chest in the Butterfly Effect was actually my mentor for Virtual World's Best Practices in Education, Olive Tree Lighthouse, who was in Egypt. So that's the power of Second Life, that, we're actually able to make these connections, regardless of where we are. We're able to connect these links in space-time, I call them, that really show us how we're all connected. And I think that's incredibly powerful. So the Butterfly Effect exhibit is, I'm going to turn around here so I can read the big screen, if I can. Excuse me, the lag is still got a hold of me here. The Butterfly Effect is an immersive, entertaining, educational experience of imagination therapy. And imagination therapy is, something that I think is another benefit of Second Life, that a caterpillar actually uses what are called Imaginal Cells to become a butterfly. And when I learned that, I thought, wow, that makes so much sense. And maybe it's not an involuntary thing. Maybe they're very conscious of their transformation. And they do that with the same DNA. And we as humans, we're told that 95% of our DNA is yet unexplained by science. So, I have to wonder what would happen if we collectively and consciously use our own imaginal cells to transform reality. And that's really what I see Second Life as, a platform to do. That, I asked the question, does fantasy and reality have the same DNA? And I would have to say yes. That the fantasy that we invest in, even watching movies and things, really affects our reality, whether it be just collecting Star Wars stuff or whatever. We are definitely affected by the fantasy that we ingest. So in the Butterfly Effect exhibit, you can really it's an immersive experience, created with real world photography, kind of that Honey, I Shrunk the Kids feel, where you're at the level of the bugs and the flowers. And it's about relationship with nature, and studies of symbiosis, which is, the beneficial relationship between different life forms in nature, and phenology, which is the study of cycles and seasons. And the Infinite Peace Garden has really become like an environmental science laboratory for those studies, where you can really have an intimate observation of nature within it. So this is represented within the Butterfly Effect. And the first thing that you encounter when you land there is this crab, which a lot of people have a fear reaction to, which I think is important, because, then you realize the crab is not that crabby. He's actually just the guardian of the state and there to greet you. And you have to get past the fear to actually then see things as they are. Some people say love changes everything, but I like to think that seeing through eyes of love is the only way we really see reality. It's fear that actually distorts things. But once you get past that fear and you can see things as they are, you see that everything is actually communicating. At least that's how I perceive it, and have a lot of evidence of that I share within this exhibit. That everything, whether it's the bugs, the birds, the water, even the clouds, it's all communicating if we're open to see its messages. So, for example, has everybody seen the movie Never Ending Story? Anybody? With a big dragon that looks like a dog named Falkor? Yes? Okay. So, do you see Falkor the luck dragon in that picture? Anybody? Yes? Okay. So what's really astounding is that is just water splashing in a fountain. I photographed that in a fountain in downtown Minneapolis. And how do you capture Falkor in a splashing fountain? But there he is. And what does Falkor represent? the never-ending story. And so I actually used that picture at a Canton City Council meeting one time when they were talking about fracking and saying that, everyone saw Falkor, and I said, well, again, what does Falkor represent? The never-ending story. And the never-ending story is wherever we have water to continue to live. So you see, there's a message there. And again, what the synchronicity of somehow water arranging itself, but photography is magical in that way too, that it stops time for us to be aware of things. My philosophy, actually, my eclectic philosophy, says that things we can't see are often more remarkable than things we can, and the camera can capture those things normally overlooked and freeze them for our awareness. As there are many dimensions woven together and through each other, an eclectic eye is open to view these spaces, and the camera makes the photographer's perception reality for us all. So, and again, Second Life is just such a great way of representing that, because it's something that you can't, you're not just looking at, but you're actually experiencing. So when I bring people to the butterfly effect, there's an interesting thing that happens when you walk out over these rocks. You end up walking out into the air. It's not something I planned. I really don't know what causes it. It's one of those serendipities that happen even in Second Life. But you look like you're standing on top of Falkor the Loch Dragon when you do so. And some people tell me they get chills when they experience that. So I like to take groups out there and photograph them when we give tours. Speaking of, imagination, and one of the first places that I encountered in Second Life, because there's a little red train there that we did a video on, is a place called Whimsy. And if you have not experienced Whimsy, I highly recommend. I'd still say it's my favorite place in Second Life. So well done. And Nessie the Loch Ness Monster wanders around Whimsy. So I took that picture one day standing on Nessie's head, and I was drinking a cup of tea at the time. I still had this cup of tea in my hand, and it wasn't spilling, and this whole idea came to me that imagination is Nessie tea, necessity, and it never spills or goes extinct. Share a cup with us in Second Life. This is Jules McWhinney. She was the founder of Viridian Gallery, where the Butterfly Effect exhibit is now. She turned the space over to me. We've actually been maintaining it since 2020. The exhibit opened on 11/11/2020, which is actually the 10th anniversary of the day the two pictures on the front of the gallery, called Touch of Light, this picture here, and Edge of the World, this picture here, with an ant enjoying the view at the edge of the world. Those pictures were taken on 11/11/2010. So it was an amazing synchronicity again that happened, that we actually were able to, have opening day for the Butterfly Effect exhibit in Second Life on the 10th anniversary of the day the pictures were taken. When you come in the gallery, you walk over this quote, which is a quote by Patanjali. And I used to actually even be freaked out by my own interactions with nature. Creatures that would just, they land on me, they come up, they let me pet them, they follow me, even a spider that I have, video of, played with me for over an hour, that I named Yo-Yo, and until I read this quote, and then it all made sense. If you become steadfast in your abstention of thoughts of harm directed toward others, all living creatures will cease to feel enmity in your presence, meaning they won't see you as an enemy. And that's pretty true of my experience. So that's really what the Butterfly Effect exhibit is representing, is what the world looks like when we see through eyes of love. I also wear a timeless watch, quite literally, which gets some real reactions along my travels as well, because I think that a lot of the conversations even that I have along my way wouldn't happen if I was so focused on time and where I have to be, rather than just being in the moment. And I feel that nature gives us the greatest gifts when we share in unmeasured amount of time experiencing it. And it doesn't matter how long it is. It's just when you let go of the idea that you have to be somewhere else. So I've had many critters across my watch over the years, and the first frame that you experience in the gallery is just creatures that have happened across my watch, like this cricket. So I like to call this picture, Jiminy, what time is it? It's time to change the world, of course. This is an interesting example of connection in how we're all connected and how everything is really a messenger if we're open to see these connections. This rose I picked from my rose bush, and we were in Nimmisilla Park this day this happened, on Peace Day, in fact. My friend of mine, Amy, I had actually given her that butterfly pin the last time I saw her, and this caterpillar appeared on my mom's shoulder. And, she was kind of bothered by it at first, and I said, I had it off, I put it on the rose. I said, don't worry, it's a good sign. And I had no idea what was about to transpire, but I gave the rose with the caterpillar to Amy. She saw the caterpillar and held it down to this butterfly pin, and it crawled right over the butterfly pin and mirrored the swallowtail of the butterfly. So what's really amazing about that, speaking of same DNA, is that is a gypsy moth caterpillar, and they spray pesticides to try to get rid of gypsy moth caterpillars. But you really can't spray pesticides without affecting, other species as well. And DNA tests have shown us that all butterflies are a descendant of a little brown moth. So it really is all the same DNA, and that's what I call that picture and what I really feel the message is. This is a really good example of timelessness. This caterpillar was actually hanging from a thread that I couldn't even see. It was just dancing around in midair, and then it disappeared, and I realized it fell, and I followed it for a while, and it eventually gave me this beautiful, smiling face on this heart-shaped blossom. But the real amazing thing is that if you look at the shadow of the blossom, it looks like the swallowtail of the butterfly wing. I've gotten to know these slugs, who you can learn more about in the exhibit. I'm not going to get too deep into it, but they definitely seem to be communicating with me, and I have pictures to show that. You can also ride a slug in the Butterfly Effect exhibit. Actually race them around the gallery and try not to run into everything because they're the fastest slugs ever. So there's a lot of fun to be had in the Butterfly Effect exhibit as well. You can fly on a butterfly or a dragonfly or an owl or even a dandelion seed. This is Yo-Yo, the jumping spider, who you can see video of on my YouTube channel, which I can give you a link to as soon as I find it. And but he spent over an hour with me, playing with me, as crazy as that may sound. I was actually afraid to share the video for some time because it just seemed so amazing and unusual. And Second Life for me then just really became the platform that I felt was the right environment to share these encounters that I was having with nature that seemed so unreal or surreal, but are as real as it gets. A damselfly sitting in your hand is just a remarkable experience to know that it is that much at peace with your presence. It's one of my favorite photos. Call it Friendly Dragon. So we're also learning things that are very, I think, impactful in understanding, our relationship with nature and how we can work in harmony with it. And instead of using pesticides and things, the Infinite Peace Garden I call Harmony Garden because it's a combination of human planted flowers and what nature plants. And this is the first plant that I allowed to grow, almost pulled, and thought, no, I'll let it grow and see what it does. Well, it revealed itself to be an attractor of Japanese beetles that will feast on its leaves, and they don't touch anything else as long as it's present. And it's called the Pennsylvania smartweed. So I think that is a pretty powerful revelation, and there are other things that we're also been learning now, that we also have a greenhouse space called Turtle Park. And if you've ever heard the legend of the Turtle Island, where the world is on the back of a turtle and everything is connected, that's kind of the model of the space that we want to really learn about the symbiotic connections and not use chemicals or anything in this environment. So we've learned recently, this last year, I just kind of let things grow. And some people would say, why did he just let that go like that? But it was really get to know the land year and see what the land had to show us. You know, what was there before we got there? And so by letting things grow, we learned that amaranth, in fact, which I just shared a link to, a post on Instagram, if you can see that, you see my evidence. Amaranth is allowed to grow. The bugs will eat it and not touch the vegetables. You see there's tomatoes right beside that amaranth in those pictures, and they're not touching the tomatoes. So another amazing revelation we have learned from really actually acting in accordance with the legend of Turtle Island. There's also a multi-tiered symbiosis that we discovered with the sunflowers and what are called tree hoppers that attach themselves to the back of the leaves. You can see them there. They kind of look like capacitors, which is kind of literally what they are in nature. They're creating a sap from the sunflower to the ants, who then protect them and the sunflowers. This is an interesting interactive photo. It was actually part of an exhibit I had at the Empire State Building, and it's a blur that could have been perceived as a mistake and thrown away and never used again, never seen. But it became a very important message about how we all see things differently. So I can ask around the room if you guys wouldn't mind sharing what you see in this picture. I've literally heard thousands of different things. I've never heard the end of it. Every time I think I've heard it all, someone says something completely different. A shaggy white sheepdog rolling around. I like that. I see my dog Max. See, now we've got two dogs. See an animal skull. Okay, and I haven't quite heard that before. And so actually I'll tell you that dog is the most common thing said. If you ask a room of 10 people, you might have 4 dogs. But we've heard everything from, I see a cocoon, I like that, and I have heard something to that effect. But I've heard everything from parachute out of the back of a dragster, a bride and groom on their wedding night rolling on a floor, a bottle of champagne beside them, a tumbleweed, a storm, a dancer, keys, a wad of toilet paper on a snow sled, and it goes on and on. So you can see that in the gallery as well, and ask around and see what others say, because it's always very interesting. There's always something new, and that's the idea, that we need to learn to understand that we do see things differently. We see that, you know, we can look at the same thing and see it differently, and that's kind of, I think, how the puzzle is cut, and we need to learn to integrate those different perspectives. Because really, you know, we live in what we call a 3-dimensional world, but actually dimension is a measurement. And if you look at something from a different angle, you're looking at it from another dimension. I kind of have a tendency to see how dimensions connect and see how things, even if you look at them from a different perspective, give a message. For instance, what do you see in this picture? Anyone? A face, yes. A smiley face. And the interesting thing is that if you look, the smiley face, the arrow is passing the locked eye and pointing to the open eye, which I think is so relevant to what this picture actually is. Because if we look at the next frame, you see that it's actually the symbols on a washing machine door telling you which way to turn the knob upside down. What we actually do see upside down, what's on the back of our retina, is upside down. So sometimes just looking at things, turn it around, and you may see something remarkable. This is what we call Rapture Bridge, and you can cross over Rapture Bridge in the Butterfly Effect exhibit. I call it Rapture Bridge being like the rapture of awareness that allows you to capture a photo like that. And kind of makes me the happiest man on earth, to be able to experience something like that that really is a result of so many dimensions intersecting, where I'm standing, the angle of the sun, the lens that I happen to be using, and then the awareness to actually be in that moment and see it and capture it is, to me, rapturous. This picture was taken in Immersive Park when we were watering the Infinite Peace Garden, and I think relates to the prophecy of the rainbow people, the Native American, which I'm not going to read right now, but you can, explore all of that more in the Butterfly Effect. Here are the pictures of the coasters with the sunflower, which the coasters then almost look like giant caterpillars in this context. And if you know about the guard ants and what they protect, as I just told you, and where rainbows usually end, then you should be able to find the treasure chest in the Butterfly Effect exhibit that gives you the gifts of infinite peace, which are in this box beside me. As I said, as the song says, tell all the folks in Egypt, Olive Tree Lighthouse in Egypt was the first person to find the treasure chest, which I just find absolutely remarkable, and such an example of the power of Second Life to connect us in story. Because I really feel that the story that we're living is the key to existence, the key to reality as we know it, and that we need to be more conscious of that to write the story that we are living. We all invest a lot of time and energy in watching fantasy, but aren't often aware of the story that we're living in. Along my journey on this past month even, there have been times where somebody, you cross paths with somebody or they're in front of you in line. Some people apologize or whatever when they have to cross your path, and I'm like, you're not in my way. You're part of the story, For me, everyone and everything is part of the story. Here is such a great example of someone wearing the t-shirt that I'm wearing, because it really looked like it was made for her. She wore it very well. What do you see in this picture? I see a heart that also looks like the state of Ohio, and a sprout coming right up from what would be Canton, Akron, in that state of Ohio, which really represents, I feel, the vision that we have to help Canton to rise to even a greater potential in its own story, awareness of its own story, and how, it is the heart of the heartland. And now these seeds are literally sprouting all over the world. It is spiraling out in so many different directions as the heart neglects no part of the body. And then, the body circulates everything back through the heart. That's how things work. And so we actually started a movement called Hearts Coming Together in Canton, and it was based on this question. We had activists and educators and from people from all over the country, and even as far as Argentina and Africa, who joined us for our first conference based on this question. So I would like to even invite people to open their mics, if you like, and give an answer to this question. What will we do to change our world today, with emphasis on will do today. Because the Amish, I use as an example, build barns in 5 hours. And so what could we be capable of if we use our imaginal cells? Any thoughts? Oh, wow. Well, thank you for that. And here I was feeling it wasn't so amazing because I'm just winging it. Um, but that's what makes it special for me, is that you're all here and that we are sharing this story that we're writing together. So, as Ron Garan, astronaut, said, if we adopt the same collaborative mindset, uh, wait a minute, I have to adjust my camera here so I can read. It's blocked. If we adopt the same collaborative mindset and practices that got us to the moon and back, and that built the International Space Station, we can alleviate poverty and do much more. And I truly believe that. And that is really the way that I feel we should be utilizing Second Life. That things that we want to create in reality, again, we can create in here, and engage people in an interactive story. So the Love Train, as you see here, is something that we literally started with the Cuyahoga Valley Scenic Railroad, and that amazing engine with that coincidental significant number on it. You see that beautiful diverse group of people that share that train ride. And still, if I run into any of those people, they will still greet me with, like, we're still on the train together. And really, the love train, the true love train, isn't bound by tracks. It is spiritually and heart linked. The heart is really our true link. Where, you know, if we're thinking from heart, we shouldn't be divided. All the energy and inspiration that we share really flows through our heart. That's what I believe. And so, believing in that song, people all over the world join hands, start a love train. This has really become my life purpose to realize. So the station that we started that train at has been abandoned for over a decade. And it's kind of like a real representation of the little engine that could, where we're trying to get dreams into reality, and the tunnel collapses. You got to find another way to get there. So during the pandemic, this was my trigger, actually, to come into Second Life and begin to share the story of the love train with people all over the world, quite literally. Not shutting down, but expanding. And so this is a great book called Reality is Broken: Why Games Make Us Better and How They Can Change the World, by Jane McConigal. I don't know if anyone has read it, but I highly recommend, and I think that it relates a lot to what we're doing here in Second Life, and how we can potentially, and I've been working toward this, to create the love train in Second Life, and invite people all over the world to collaborate and ride it together. So here in this picture, you see the real world, where the love train mural is being painted beside the railroad tracks and connecting to the virtual world. But there's a break in the tracks there. And that's what we're using Second Life to build, that bridge between vision and reality, between fantasy and our real world. So interestingly enough, as I say that everything is a messenger, this caterpillar, just during a meeting with someone, this was actually their notes, and this caterpillar appeared on my shoulder, and the person I was meeting with said, "Ooh, there's a ooh on your shoulder." And I was like, "Oh, cool." And I got it on my hand, and I had the hardest time getting it off my hand. And it just did not want to get off me. I finally got it onto the table, and it crawled over these notes. And to me, the message was clear in it, connecting the words love train. So I say, when your greatest challenge is crossing the bridge of words, which is my greatest challenge, between dream and reality, trust that a caterpillar knows the way to transformation. And so if you look at the picture in the bottom left, you see the message quite clearly. It says, use the song that gives the train love. Isn't that amazing? I think that's absolutely astounding that I just took those two pictures and just the, I'm amazed. I live in a constant state of amazement, actually, still, when I look at these pictures every time. And then, of course, then you've got the butterfly on the railroad tracks, which represents the vision, unfolding. And for Virtual World's Best Practices in Education a few years ago, we created the space-time story bridge, which was like, I loved the space environment to create in. And it was a railroad bridge with the love train story basically represented on this railroad bridge in space over the Earth. And this is another amazing connection that happened where the space-time story bridge was literally that, in connecting another link with someone around the world. Because on the bridge and part of the exhibit, we had this book that represented the Infinite Peace Garden in Immersive Park that was planted by kids from Northern Ireland, and the Phoenix Peace Fountain in Northern Ireland, and coloring Northern Ireland, that is actually made of melted gunmetal from Canton, Ohio. A really interesting loop of connection between our countries that, unfortunately most people in Canton are completely unaware of. But one day I got a message from Tori and saying, Eyeclectic, you have the Phoenix Peace Fountain in your book. That's my hometown. So again, Second Life, this space-time story bridge was quite literally that, and creating a link, again, a loop link around the world, from the Infinite Peace Garden, where the seeds are being spread from, and the Phoenix Peace Fountain, which was in Tori's hometown. So if you've ever heard the song Sowing the Seeds of Love by Tears for Fears, Einstein, actually born on 3/14, Pi Day, believed that time was a circle and that future events can affect the past. I have to believe that's true and that we actually have evidence of that, because I had not heard the song Sowing the Seeds of Love until we decided to spread these seeds, and a friend said, oh, nice Tears for Fears reference. I didn't know what he was talking about, and I looked up the song, and the first time I listened to the song, I'm slapping my forehead because it says, high time we make a stand and shake up the views of the common man, and the love train rides from coast to coast. Every minute of every hour I love a sunflower, and I believe in love power, sowing the seeds of love. So were Tears for Fears actually inspired to be singing about the seeds that we are literally now, that I am literally now spreading coast to coast, sitting in a hotel in Taos, New Mexico, that came from the OJ's Parkway in the origin city of the love train that I helped to start? I have to believe so. So we just need to keep spreading them and believe that, the ways of a seed are infinite. One seed can become a plant with 10,000 seeds, and so on, and so SOW on. So if we all work with that equation, there is no lack. And there's also infinite ways to photograph a sunflower. And that's the idea, is I'm giving people a packet of seeds with the picture of the ladder sunflower tower on it, and the invitation to share photos as they grow, and then save the seeds from their blooms and continue to spread them. So I actually think that maybe the first seeds to sprout on Mars should be the seeds of infinite peace. Because, and if you've ever seen the movie The Martian, that movie strangely ends with the song Love Train. And that just seems to be an obvious message for realizing that dream, because actually the entire modern world, all the increased circulation of our modern world, is rolling on an innovation called the tapered roller bearing, which came from the Timken Company in Canton, Ohio. And may I add, the Mars rover too. And I actually followed Ringling Brothers trains for the last 3 months of their train tours trying to help them see how they could repurpose their tours. But they were letting go of the animals, didn't think they needed the trains anymore. But ultimately, that's the vision, to have a train kind of like Ringling Brothers, where they were crisscrossing the country and they would pull into a city and they'd be in there for 7 to 10 days. Without the animals, what else could we put on that train? Maybe Habitat for Humanity and gardeners to help with urban gardening and artists to help with collaborative murals and maybe having a medical and a dental car and so on, so that when we pull into a community, we're actually engaging the community in what I call rapid transformation, and just wrapping programming around it. And Second Life could potentially really be a big part of that, I believe. So what do you see in this picture? The little engine that could. Now, kind of get that picture in your mind. See the train and the other characters and the clouds. And now I'm going to switch to the next picture, which is actually a photo I took in what I call Perception Park, a park called Sippo Lake in just outside of Canton, Ohio. And tell me then what you see over the trees. Do you see the little engine that could in the clouds? Isn't that amazing? And the fishing pier almost resembles tracks. And it's interesting to me that the words cloud and could are the same letters. So, this is Canton's clock tower, and we have the angels of the four winds, the trumpeters of justice, they call them, surrounding the clock tower. And so I have to wonder, or really say, of course, that the song Calling All Angels is by the band called Train. In fact, the day that the railroad actually had an engine derail after our third Love Train event at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, the very next morning, the railroad had an engine derail in the Canton station. And when I got home that day, I had one email from Ava, who you may know, my partner here in Second Life, Hearts Coming Together in Nonprofit Commons, and really everything in the world-changing visions that we have. She is my confidant and collaborative and everything. That day I had an email from her, one email, no subject line, just a YouTube link, and I clicked it, and it was the song Calling All Angels by Train. So do you see a football cloud there? And of course, Canton is known as the Football Hall of Fame city. It's where the NFL started. And so that is quite literally the cloud over Canton, because it's really what Canton is more focused on than anything, although there are so many other things, like I told you that about the tapered roller bearing, which I think is a much bigger story, in fact, that are a part of Canton's story that I think that need to have more of a spotlight shined on them to be realized. So we have a really big vision that, potentially the Love Train experience could connect the Pro Football Hall of Fame in Canton and the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in Cleveland, in a movement of like proactivity, engaging riders in proactive like micro-philanthropy, and again, the word transformation that I like to use. So here I am juggling worlds, and this frame isn't changing. Oh, I went too far there. Quite literally juggling worlds. The real world, Canton, trying to help Canton see its place and its connections to the world and awareness of its own history, and Second Life. You see I'm wearing the Love Train t-shirt in that picture. And then you look at this next picture, it's really interesting because this was taken in downtown Canton. And there's the juggling balls. I call that picture Center of the Universe. So this is a quote from Disney's Tomorrowland. Have you ever wondered what would happen if all the geniuses, the artists, the scientists, the smartest, most creative people in the world decided to actually change it? Yes, I have. And that is what I believe we all need to come together and do, and utilize Second Life for that purpose. Again, as like a vision board on steroids. So imagine my surprise when I found this abandoned train in a place called the Faraway, which is an archived space here in Second Life. And how meaningful that was to me, that you could actually grab this chain like you're pulling the train and, let's go find those old tracks. This is reality's dream. So here actually is the abandoned train station. That we, Canton for All People, which is an organization that builds housing and has a free store, which we actually provide free food from our greenhouse turtle park to in Canton, Ohio, has adopted this station now and written me a wonderful letter of endorsement to utilize it, to make it like a community storytelling hub, and potentially muralize it to tell the story of the love train and our forward vision, and even to produce a film there that helps to tie all of these things together. This is an amazing photo of a blue OJ that happened to pose for me on the very railroad tracks where we started the love train. And I found out that actually Paul McCartney and Eddie Levert of the OJs were born 2 days apart, June 16th and June 18th, 1942. And I think that's a link in space-time that we need to connect. I think we need to get them together to perform, to actually help put this vision back on track. And so when I took this picture and I'm thinking about this, I think, well, gee, what is Paul McCartney saying, And the first thing that came to mind was the Beatles, All You Need Is Love. And then Bluebird, oh my gosh, his song Bluebird. I'll come flying through your door and you'll know what love is for. I'm a bluebird. So there's our blue OJ saying the next stop that we make will be England, as the song says. Because I potentially feel that we need to organize an event on a train in England and invite our wish list of philanthropists, activists, and entertainers and Second Life users to put this vision on track for everything it's meant to be. So in we have a mainland parcel as well, right beside the Second Life railroad tracks, where we would really actually like to build a love train and engage people in this process. It's a sandbox, so anybody can go there and do whatever you want. I think I've got a 3-day return time on it or something, so you can really kind of play and experiment. And if there's something that you'd like me to see, send me a message, and something that could be more permanent on the space. It's a space that I want to use as kind of a digital consulting agency for the real world, where we could actually create the vision we have for Nemasolo Park, the railroad station, which you see we've already recreated, and things like that. And also, adjacent from the Butterfly Effect, we have a scale model of the Empire State Building with a lot of space in it for exhibits and meetings, and basically, based around relationship with nature and how we see our environment. Buildings are a part of our environment, so how can we weave them more cohesively into nature, and just innovation. Within the space, I have Tesla's Loft, which is an interactive educational space based on Nikola Tesla's work, and we're inviting, again, everyone to be a part of that, and explore what it could be, and just that, it's an interactive sandbox that I think can be really potentially powerful in inviting new users into Second Life as well. So we'll be exploring more of that during my immersive experience. And so to read this quote from the movie, the Lego movie, I think it really sums it up, because it says, guys, you're all so talented and imaginative, but you can't work together as a team. I'm just a construction worker, but when I had a plan and we were all working together, we could build a skyscraper. Now you're master builders. Just imagine if you did that. You could save the universe. And I actually don't think that's so far-fetched there. I think that is more true to what we're doing here and what we can do together, and utilizing this virtual space to reimagine reality. So I am calling all builders, scripters, artists, activists, educators, writers, filmmakers, philanthropists, dreamers, and visionaries on both sides of the screen to help build nature's empire, innovation station, and a virtual love train on the Second Life Railroad for a new creative cross-world collaborative story to reflect reality and write our future history. And I'm inviting you all to be a part of that. And thank you for joining us today. Um, as the song says, people all over the world join hands, start a love train. So you can also DM me, Infinite Peace Garden on Instagram, or here in Second Life, if you'd actually like to receive some physical seeds from the ladder to plant and share photos and so on. And please join us for our immersive experience on April 1st, and we'll see you in the new world. Thank you.